Today's topic is the dreaded stall or plateau, where we get a fortune of comments asking about what to do if you have a stall or you have a plateau. This seems to be an absolutely enormous topic. I think no better person to explain what possibly could be going wrong here other than yourself.
Well, it's a common question, and I guess remember we're talking in the context of eating a keto type of diet without sugars and starches, and so probably the most common reason for people not losing weight, if they're trying to lose weight on a stall, or called a plateau sometimes, is carb creep. So if someone is coming back to me that things are working fine and then things stop, I'll really be careful about asking, being a detective almost, of making sure that there's not extra starch in the sauces, eating out at restaurants or fast food places where they're not in control of the preparation. For example, in our area, coleslaw, a salad, sugar is added to it. So the first step I would help people figure out is whether carb creep is going on. You could also introduce checking ketones at that time. I don't always recommend people to check ketones. As long as you're under 20 total carbs or less, you'll be in ketosis. So you can check to see if there's carb creep or not by measuring the ketone level.
So just to elaborate on that, so obviously the reason for this is that if you're not producing ketones anymore, something that you're eating is obviously making sure that you are kicked out of ketosis, and thereby eating carbs that you might not have known that you were eating.
And this typically happens 3 to 6 months into the program. You're starting, you're feeling really great, you're losing weight, and then, I can have a little bit here, a little bit there. What we're learning is that some people are knocked out of ketosis for 2 weeks after just one meal of carbohydrate. So it can be damaging to have just a little bit here, a little bit there.
Especially if you don't know that you're having it.
Right. Well, but then now we're hearing more and more, what about having a cheat day or a carb day? I don't subscribe to that at all. You want to be strict every day.
And something else that is within this topic that is a huge, hotly contested debate, and that is the fat that you consume. Could you elaborate on that a little bit more?
This is the second most common reason for a stall these days. We didn't see it so much 10 years ago, but the excessive eating or drinking of fats and oils and butters, and there's a misconception that if you're trying to burn your body fat, that eating fat or drinking fat will help you burn your body fat. That's a misconception. In fact, the best fat burning diet is to not eat anything at all. You don't have to eat fat to burn the fat. Of course, not eating anything called fasting or total fasting is not a healthy way to do it. I've seen people doing great, and then they start drinking oils and butters, and under the false assumption that you have to have those to burn fat. And so watch out for the fat, the butter, the oils. While they have zero carbs, so it seems like, I can have as much as I want. You have to be careful because they have a lot of calories.
And you stop the fat burning going on in your own body. You're almost your pantry on board.
You'll burn the fat you eat first.
Right.
Before the fat off your body.
Now, something I'd like you to also chat to our viewers, which I've heard you speak about before, and that was something that Dr. Atkins used to say. If you in a stall, move or change where you buy your food. Do you want to elaborate on that? Well,
that's interesting. So, of course, Dr. Atkins is one of my teachers, and Jackie Eberstein, who worked with Dr. Atkins, is still working with me. Dr. Atkins had all sorts of interesting fixes, if you will, and certain types of food have different additives and all that, and in fact he would recommend moving to Europe, for example, to get through a stall, because the European food, at least at the time, didn't have all the same additives and high fructose corn syrup, and even the quality of the meat is different in different countries. So that's an interesting fix. I don't know that many of my patients would be able to do that.
Yeah. So I'd like to just recap. I think those were 3 excellent tips, most certainly the first 2. And that was, it may be as simple as a barbecue sauce that you might be eating, or a ketchup that you might be eating, or a salad dressing that you might be eating that you never knew had additional sugars in. Maybe be a little bit more cautious. If you're finding that you're having that stall, go and look at the foods that you're purchasing or that you're consuming, and have a look if there's any hidden carbs or sugars inside those. That was the first one. I think the second one was, we don't have to, when we're having a meal, add in additional fat just to try and get the fat in. So I think the message would be, eat the fat that naturally is found in our food, eat to satiety, don't overdo the fats, don't drown everything in butter and oils, and lastly, if you are finding that you're sticking to maybe points 1 and 2, maybe instead of moving to a different country, which would be very difficult, maybe a good idea would be to try a different grocery store, or try a different source of where you're buying your food from. So I think those would be 3 very, very helpful tips, and always great getting this information from you. If you find that these videos are helpful, again, we encourage you to share these videos. Without your help, we cannot get the message out there. There is obviously an epidemic of obesity, diabetes, and metabolic syndrome out there, and with your help, we can overcome this if we share these videos, and we appreciate all of your support. And thank you so much.